Sir, good morning, sir.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good
Good
morning,
morning,
good
sir.
morning,
Good morning,
good
sir.
morning,
Good
good
morning,
morning.
sir.
Good morning to everyone. All happy faces in the morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Rasa.
Saxena, sir, if you permit, we can start.
Please do.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. A very good morning to all of you. I am Dr. Shivani Kapoor, faculty member of JP Business School, JIIT Noida, India, and co-convener ICAMT 2023. With the blessings of our honorable founder, Shri Jai Prakash Gaurji, and honorable chancellor, Shri Manoj Gaurji, I, on behalf of JP Business School, wholeheartedly welcome you all to the inaugural session of the third International Conference on Advances in Management and Technology. It is my proud privilege to extend my warm welcome to the Honorable Pro-Chancellor of our university, Professor S.C. Saxena, sir. Honorable Vice-Chancellor, Professor B.R. Mehta, sir. Distinguished guest of honor for the conference, Mr. Mohit Kumar. Guest of honor, Ms. Sangrika Rai. And keynote speaker, Mr. Arindam Lehri. Our respected head academics and conference chair, Professor Rajneesh Mishra, sir. Director, Faculty Affairs and Dean of Academics and Research, Professor D.K. Rai, sir. Professor Vikas Saxena, Professor Pammi Gaba, Professor Shweta Shrivastava, Professor Alka Sharma, Professor Alka Chaube, Professor Anirban Pathak, Colonel Sharad Rastogi, Brigadier Sanjay Davar, Mr. S.B. Pant, and all dignitaries, faculty members, colleagues, scholars, and my dear participants. Thank you for joining us today. We are grateful for your presence. The third International Conference on Advanced Management and Technology is organized by JP Business School, a constituent of JP Institute of Information Technology, Noida, India. The theme of the conference is Building Resilient Businesses for Sustainability in the Area of Disruption. The conference will act as a forum for academicians, practitioners, business analysts, and researchers across the globe to collaborate and share their views, research, and experience on the next normal business practices. With the globe recovering from the pandemic and the world returning to normalcy, the need of the hour is to bring back the economy by building resilient and sustainable business system that will be able to excel in future. Today's business environment is full of disruption and uncertainty, and hence business needs to be resilient to be able to thrive in the era of disruption. I'm sure this conference will be an insightful and a great learning platform for everyone. Through this international conference, we encourage networking, collaboration, and joint effort among the conference participants to advance the theory and practice in business management. As guided by our tradition, let us start the inaugural session with the virtual lighting of the lamp. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce you to JP Business School. JBS, a constituent of JP Institute of Information Technology, a deemed to be university, was founded in 2007 with a mission to prepare and produce competent, passionate, and market-centric professionals who can manage human resource, business operations, and ensure world-class practices with endurance and commitment. Now, let us begin the inaugural ceremony. I would like to request conference convener, Professor Rajneesh Kumar Mishra, sir, to brief us about the conference. Dr. Mishra is currently head academics at JBS. He has more than 23 years of experience in academics. Prior to joining JBS, Mishra, sir, has worked with leading institutes of the country like IIM Rohtak, IIM Kozhikode, and IIM Indore, just to name a few. Sir, over to you.
Yeah. Very good morning to all the dignitaries, Honorable Pro-Chancellor, Professor S.C. Saxena, Honorable Vice-Chancellor, Professor B.R. Mehta, Director, Faculty Affairs, Professor D.K. Rai, Deans, Professor Pami Gauba, Professor Shweta Srivastav, Professor Alka Sharma, heads of department, participants, and my dear students. The conceptualization of this theme, building resilient businesses for sustainability in the era of disruption, goes back almost 5 years into the timeline. We started off this first international conference, ICAMT, in the year 2015, when we looked at the merging of technology and management together in a globalized world. The second version of this international conference with the theme, Digital Transformation of Business, again, this was being looked at from the perspective of how technology has brought about changes in the way of managing business in the era of disruption, more specifically during COVID. And now, when we are coming out of the COVID, we conceptualize this theme that how we can bridge the technology and ensuring the functioning of various businesses in a more resilient manner. Resilience is a term we had always looked at it from the perspective of stress management. How people who had been in deep distress comes out, bounces back to normality. So the concept of resilience came from there. The second concept that is there with respect to disruption is because of the technology, how the technology evolved right from the 18th century to what we are experiencing today. And when the communication technology took its finest shape in the year 2010 onwards, possibly we started moving towards doing online transactions more frequently. And finally, thanks to the sustainability issues that have been raised by the United Nations, and they have set the decade as an agenda for achieving sustainable development goals for all the country, where people, processes, and also largely the economies of the world have to come together and find a ways and means towards making the world environment friendly, free from the carbonizations that have happened over the period of centuries to a minimum, so that we can sustain the planet in the larger interest of the community and the world at large. So this is how this theme, building resilient businesses for sustainability in the era of disruption, has come into being. There are a number of researches that have happened in past 2 years, from Deloitte to BCG to McKinsey, who have highlighted that for an organization to be successful in the long run, they have to do at least 4 things. They have to sense the environment. They have to adapt to whatever changes that are happening. They have to thrive in this era of uncertainty and finally transform themselves to live up to the challenge and ensure that the environment, the planet that in which they are operating, they are able to protect it. This is in brief about this conference theme. Hope this 3-day conference will take us to this knowledge enhancement, knowledge enrichment exercise through various paper presentations that are going to be shared during this period of 3 days. Thank you, Dr. Shivani. Thank you, sir, for joining us and motivating us by your presence.
Thank you, sir, for briefing us. For the welcome address, we have with us our Honorable Pro-Chancellor, Professor S.C. Saxena, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, I feel honored and privileged to introduce him to all of you. Sir has taken over as Pro-Chancellor of JIIT Noida from June 14, 2021. He's also Pro-Chancellor JP University Anup Sheher, Member of Governing Council, Executive Council and Academic Council of JP University of Engineering and Technology, Guna, and JP University of Information Technology, Wagnaghat. Prior to his service as Pro-Chancellor of JP Institute of Information Technology, Sir has been a Vice Chancellor of JIIT Noida, Director at IIT Roorkee, Mentor Director at IIT Mandi, Director at Thapar Institute of Engineering and Technology, Patiala, and Director at Thapar Center for Industrial Research and Development. Sir is a renowned and outstanding academician and has guided numerous PhD dissertations and has over 200 research papers published in journals of international repute. Professor Saxena has received 18 awards and honors, including 2 times Khosla Gold Medal, President of India's Prize, Jawaharlal Nehru Memorial Award, Outstanding Technologist, Pride of Uttaranchal, Uttarakhand Ratna, Eminent Engineering Personality, just to name a few. Sir has been an independent director of Tihri Hydro Development Corporation, India Limited, and chairman of its audit. He is associated with various educational bodies and universities in various capacities such as Board of Governors, Governing Council, Academic Councils, etc. He has made 2 educational films. He's a trained motivational trainer, worked as an expert at Military Technical College, Baghdad, Iraq, advisor at AICTE, and has widely traveled both in India and abroad. Ladies and gentlemen, I could not get through all his achievements. Words fall short describing his dynamic and vibrant personality. Sir, I strongly believe that your presence will vitalize the delegates and your words of wisdom and experience will benefit one and all present on this occasion. I humbly request you to enlighten the audience with your words of wisdom. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Shivani, and thanks for your kind words.
Pleasure, sir. Pleasure.
Friends, all dignitaries present from outside, from industry, academia, from India and abroad, if they've joined by now, and my own colleagues from JIIT Noida. Not only from JBS, but from all other departments. I see the deans, HODs, and other persons, director, they are connected online just now. At the outset, I would like to tell you that this GP education system, higher education system, was started in the year 2001, actually 2000. We started with one university where we are right now. Next year, 2002, Wagnaghat, and 2003, Guna. And in 2014, we added JP University, Anup Sheher. Our founder, chancellor, founder of JP Group, Sri Jayaprakash Kaurji, always wanted to give society something which is permanent in nature and highly contributing in nation building. Business he was doing, is a very successful businessman during that period of time, one of the leading businessmen of the country. But he wanted to serve the society in different way. So he created a trust, JP Seva Sansthan, in 1991. And then many schools, universities, and different type of other activities, including activities of corporate social responsibilities, they were added up in the active list of this JP Seva Sansthan. And basically this JP Seva Sansthan is the foundation, trust or society for getting all these initiatives to get their present shape. However, JIIT Noida further created a new society, JIIT Society, as per the requirement of the UGC, Ministry of Education, AICT, and then working under its umbrella. Now, in the present time, the able son of Shri Jayaprakash Gaurji, that is Shri Manoj Gaurji, who is the executive chairman of JP Group, and also the chancellor of this university, chancellor of JP University Anup Sher and others, and pro-chancellor of JP University Baknaghat, because their governor is the chancellor of that university as per their act. He is very actively getting involved, guiding, mentoring, holding hand, and providing all type of support to this system. Practically, since I have become the pro-chancellor, I think every day I have 2 to 3 interactions with him, either via email. Basically, those interactions are the directions, or via WhatsApp. WhatsApp has become very common. It has taken over email and phone calls. That shows that how much keen he is to ensure that the quality and delivery, upgradation is standing with time, meeting all the technological changes and serving the society in the best way that remains present in all JP universities. We are really grateful to him for his time, involvement, and everything what he is doing for us. Friends, right now, we are heavily focusing on digital inclusion, digital content, or other type of digital technology and techniques in our education system. That's why about a year back, we have started a digital learning center, which has already been established. And now faculty members are already preparing their lectures. Yesterday, there was a workshop where NITTR Chennai team came, and they are providing them 2 days, let's say, training and expertise that is happening. Now, everyone in this system knows that incubation is a word which everyone is supposed to know, including JBS. JBS has not yet become active, but it has to become active, because incubation is not the propriety of computer science or biotechnology or electronics. Every department, every sphere of life has this component, that is incubation. And basically, it comes from, say, idea to incubation, innovation to incubation, and then entrepreneurship, then startup, and so on. All those things are happening. And probably on day-to-day basis, we are being mentored and monitored, something very good for us, because then and then we shall be giving our best. So JBS should also join this strike. They should also come forward for the development of digital contents for the students, and they should also initiate 4 or 5 innovation in incubation activities, where students can be the doers and the faculty members can be mentors. They can take them together, or they can take them in isolation also. Faculty members can have their own, and students can have their own. So all those things are happening in the present time. And really, I'm very happy to mention that JIIT, of which JBS is a constituent unit, is having recognition of all the required regulatory bodies of the Government of India. Deemed universities are created by the central government. Therefore, JIIT is approved by UGC, our programs by AICT. Then we stand in top 100 list of best performing institutions in engineering category, right from inception of this ranking, that is 2017. And also we are NAC accredited. Recently, we have completed our process and we have moved to A grade, which is again an achievement for the university, change in its status, and also the contribution of the faculty members and students and management at large for achieving that feat. Friends, this is the third international conference on advances in management and technology, third international conference, which JBS is organizing during the next 3 days, 23, 24, 25. But probably most of the presentation sessions are going to be on 23rd and 24th. That is what I could say. And I would like to put my words of appreciation for Professor Rajneesh Kumar Mishra, for Professor Sriram Purankar, and conveners Ridhima Sharma, Shivani Kapoor, and Divya Goel. They really have put in hard labor to ensure that we reach to a stage where we are at this point of time. That conference is being inaugurated. This conference has seen many ups and downs. Many times, Professor Mishra and Professor Purankar, they came to me and I said, no, I will not permit you to have this conference if you do not have sufficient number of papers. On 13, 14 papers, conference cannot be there. But again, this team worked hard, and I understand that more than 100 papers they have got from the different authors, from different organizations, universities and institutions. That is something very good. So sometimes, pushing back, not accepting, right? It looks bad at that point of time. Professor Mishra and Professor Purankar must be feeling, how is the Dr. Saxena? He doesn't listen. He says, no, no, no. But now they are having a smiling face because they could reach to a number which is respectable for an international conference. And effort of these conveners, Ridhima, Shivani, and Divya, highly appreciated. Friends, I am certain that during the conduction of this conference, conduction of different sessions, there will be active participation, active discussion, healthy interactions, and everyone would be getting something in terms of knowledge in his or her data bank. If that happens, then there is a gain because that knowledge they will be using for improving upon their current research work which they are carrying out. They could be from JBS or they can JIT or could be from external organizations. Then also there would be an opportunity to identify who are the persons who are working in the same areas in which our faculty member from JBS are working. Then they can create a network. And after the conference, do not leave all these participants who are getting connected with you. Create a separate group. Create a separate group and make them your permanent friend. If anything happening, everything happening, something you want to convey, Holi, Diwali, New Year, keep them in loop and inform them what JBS is doing, what new initiative JBS is taking. If that happens, that over the next 3-4 cycles, you will see you would be having a bank of 400 to 500 persons outside the JBS who would remain connected, who will be your brand ambassadors, who will be talking good about you. So that should also be done. If that is being done, then again, the purpose of the conference is served. Friends, I would like to express my gratitude to all the keynote speakers from India and abroad, keynote speakers, expert speakers, theme speakers and so on, for accepting to the request of JBS, this team, and being connected with this important event, which is taking place for the next 3 days in JBS. I wish you all a very healthy, memorable, constructive, fruitful, and meaningful sessions during the next 3 years. My appreciation again to this organizing team of these 5 persons, then to all the faculty members of JBS, members of JBS, because everyone would have been involved in one way or the other, or the faculty members from JIIT, from engineering and technology sections, who have helped JBS in the organization of this conference, maybe from academics, maybe from administration, maybe from somewhere else. So really everyone, whosoever has contributed directly or indirectly, have my appreciation for them. We stand as a team, we will remain standing as a team, and we shall be a real achiever in our endeavors in time to come. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Wish you all the best. Have a wonderful time. May God bless you. And I feel happy to announce this conference is inaugurated. Started.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for constantly guiding us, encouraging us, for carrying out such initiatives. Thank you very much. We are greatly privileged to have amongst us the Vice Chancellor of JIIT Noida, Professor B.R. Mehta, sir. Mehta, sir, has a rich experience of 37 years in teaching, research, and administration at IIT Delhi, and has worked as Dean, Research and Development, Head of Department of Physics, IIT Delhi. Professor Mehta has supervised numerous PhD scholars and has about 300 publications and presentations in national and international journals and conferences. Sir is exceptionally active in sponsored research projects and has completed 55 research-funded projects by national and international agencies. He is mentor and technical advisor of successfully deep technology startup. Sir has won many awards like the Lifetime Achievement Award, IIT Delhi 2021, Material Science Society India Annual Prize 2017, just to name a few. Professor Mehta has completed visiting assignments at leading international universities in Canada and Germany. He has been principal coordinator of formal international collaborations with leading universities and organizations in Germany, Switzerland, UK, Taiwan, Norway, and many more. As Vice Chancellor, he has his vision and goal set to take JIIT to the next level and establish it as a research center of excellence. It gives me immense pleasure, and I'm privileged to invite our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor B.R. Mehta, sir, to share a few words of inspiration and advice with us. Sir, over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shivani Kapoor. I'm audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay. So good morning, and my congratulations to everybody present here. Professor Saxena, Pro-Chancellor, has mentioned in great detail the various initiatives which have been taken under the visionary leadership of our Chancellor, Shri Manoj Gaurji. And I will start by congratulating all the participants, and I think there are around more than 80 participants right now, which are registered online present. It's a very important title of the workshop, which all the organizers have designed. So I congratulate them. It's a very, very relevant topic. The topic connects technological disruptions, business, sustainability, which are in fact the three most important terms in the present day. So it's a very, very important and very relevant topic for discussion. And I'm sure with the participation of large number of participants and eminent speakers, experts, students, faculty members, you will have a rich academic discussion in the next 3 days of this important conference. So as Professor Saxena mentioned, our Chancellor has initiated, in fact, he has declared this decade as the decade of innovation at JP universities. And under this decade of innovation, we have started a what is called a Directorate of Research, Innovation and Development, which is trying to bring all the 4 JP universities together in teaching, research, and collaboration. And we have, as was mentioned earlier, we have set up 2 important verticals: Digital Learning Center, which is completely functional now, and our faculty have started making rich digital content. And in addition, we have set up a innovation hub, which is termed as Research, Innovation, Development, Entrepreneurship, RIDE, RIDE. RIDE Innovation Hub has been set up, and we have already student startup and pre-student startups, around about 15 pre-student startup projects, and 1 startup has already been onboarded in the RIDE. This RIDE has a separate, it is registered as a separate society, as a legal entity of JIIT. So these 2 are very, very important steps. And the culture of innovation and collaboration which we are setting up, we have set up inter-university, inter-JP University Centers of Excellence on AI for Education, and also on environment and sustainability. And in fact, we are looking forward to the participation of students and faculty of JP Business School in many of these activities, and I'm sure they can play a very, very important role. So in the end, I will say that I again congratulate the conveners of this workshop, of the conference, Professor Shivani Kapoor, Professor Divya, and Professor Linma, for organizing a very on this conference on a very, very important topic, and also Professor Mishra and Professor Shriram for coordinating these activities. And I congratulate and wish my sincere best wishes to the success of this conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. May I now call upon convener ICAMT 23, Dr. Sriram Purankar, to request for unveiling of abstract proceedings.
Thank you, Dr. Shivani. Professor Saxena sir, Pro-Chancellor sir, I request your go ahead for unveiling our book of abstracts, sir. So just please say go ahead so we can, it will symbolically signify that we will unveil our book of abstracts, sir.
Please, please, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Sunil, please play the video.
Thank you so much. Moving ahead, I may now introduce you all to the first guest of honor for today's event, Mr. Mohit Kumar, President, Human Resource, Chief Learning, Talent and Culture Officer at Hindalco Industries Limited, Aditya Birla Group, an HR professional with 28 years of experience across HR spectrum, stirring organizations through complex transitions and building an empowered and talented workforce in cross-cultural environment in highly competitive industry. Prior to joining Aditya Birla Group, Mr. Kumar has been associated with leading organizations like ITC Infotech, HP, and Idea Cellular. His area of expertise are strategic business planning, organizational restructuring, global business practices and alignment, capabilities and service amplification, leadership and succession development, multi-locational leadership, large team monitoring and management, and executive coaching. He's an alumni of Indian Institute of Social Welfare and Business Management and University of Lucknow. It's indeed a pleasure to have you with us, Mr. Kumar, and we are eager to hear your words of wisdom.
Thank you so much, madam, for the generous introduction, and it was pleasure listening to the purposeful inauguration. It was so nice to be here. It was wonderful listening to Professor Saxena, Professor Mehta, and the way purposefully they are driving, and what a topic to choose, that is building resilient organizations and sustainability. As I was discussing with Professor Rajneesh in the morning, right? So it will be good to share our own experience, and that will be of more relevance to the people, that what is that we practice on the organization side. So with your permission, I'll share the journey that we have been doing in terms of building the resilient organization. I hope that's fine, right?
So that will be great. We are looking forward for it. And I think so the students also who've joined us, it will be a great learning experience for them.
Right. So as I was listening to Professor Saxena, he was talking about the purpose, right? So I'll begin with the purpose of our organization and go to strategy and then go to culture, right? How all these three are enabling building a resilient and sustainable organization. All of us are aware that it's a VUCA world, right? Something, everything will be going right for the organization. Something happens in one part of the world and it disrupts the entire business chain, an entire business line of the business. For example, our organization is in mining and metals business, right? It's starting from mines to refineries to smelters to power plants, to downstream business, and then marketing it in India and abroad. We have presence in India and US, North America, South Americas, Europe, China, Japan, Korea. So these are the places where we are doing our business. So it's the VUCA anywhere does impact us. So it is very important for us to accordingly plan for being resilient and sustainable. Right. Let me begin with the purpose. The purpose of Hindalco as an organization is we manufacture materials which make the world greener, stronger, and smarter. Right. So greener is all about being conscious about our environment. Yeah, and stronger and smarter is making the products and the people being more helpful with the products that we bring in. Actually, so in line with the purpose, we have been working on the long-term strategy for the business. If we have to make our organization resilient, it has to reflect in the way we plan for the strategy, right? Even the process itself has to be kind of supporting a long-term resilience. When we went about making our strategy, we collaborated with the rest of the businesses in Aditya Birla Group, right? So in Aditya Birla Group, the other businesses which are there, that is cement business, mining business, Aditya Birla Capital, there's Idea Cellular or Vodafone Idea, which is now there. Yes, pulp and fiber, chemicals and fertilizers. So they are the businesses which are there. So we collaborated with all the businesses so that we can learn liberally and collaborate liberally with the other businesses. Yeah. We also put a team in place which can learn the best practices from the academia, from the industry, to bring in that as part of a long-term game plan. We also interacted with our own business leaders in terms of how the business is shaping up, and as we plan to build an organization which is resilient and sustainable, what are the trends that they're seeing, right? So as an organization, as I just mentioned, that we get most of our business as of now from the upstream business, that is refining and smelting. So we have to sustain the core. That is the core of our business, while we move into adjacencies. Adjacencies is what are the products that we can um, rely on. We have downstream business, and how more we can explore the possibilities in the downstream business, and how we can get more and more of profitability and EBITDA for the downstream business as well, and also explore blue skies. For example, the renewable energy, or for example, uh, the recycling business, yeah, the recycling of aluminum and copper, which is quite established in countries like in the continents like Latin America and Europe. It's not that well established in India. So can we explore that possibility over here? That is where we began around 2 years, 3 years back, and I can tell you that we have moved on that journey. So I had just gone to our plant in Belagavi. Belagavi is in Karnataka, right? And over there, effort is on that we can cater to all our power requirement through in-house production of solar power, which is green energy, right? So suppose the requirement is around 15 megawatt or 17 megawatt, can you produce that all in-house to the solar power, and so on. In different plants, it is going on, including that we are also exploring the possibilities that on a dam can we have the floating solar power cells, right? That's a big area, big catchment to which can be utilized for a continuous power supply to the smelters that we run. So that's the business strategy on three pillars, that is sustaining core, uh, explore entering adjacencies and exploring blue sky, and in the process it is guided by building a resilient and sustainable organization on one hand, and employer of choice on the other hand. If that is the business imperatives and aligned imperatives, what will the aligned imperatives for the HR organization, right? So we also built our HR strategy in line with the business strategy, the people strategy, because business is all about people, right? So that is we strengthen the core. How do we ensure that we have the capabilities that keep delivering our main business line, that is upstream, while second imperative is fit for future? How do we create an organization which is fit for future? What are the areas that we are getting into? If you're getting into more of downstream business, do we have the resources? Do we have the capabilities which are required for the downstream business, which is more in line with consulting, solutioning, and the areas? Do we have the people with the mindsets which are global in nature, which is global mindset with, and people who are continuously learning? What are the mindsets for tomorrow? What are the fit for future mindset for tomorrow? What is the future of work, and how are you preparing ourselves for that? And how are you preparing the workforce for that? Yeah, so that is fit for future. We are doing a lot of work on that, time permitting, and depending on your questions, we can go deeper into that. Third piece, which is there, is the holistic wellness. There's no point in business doing well while the people in it not doing so well. So and sustainable business will be focused on the holistic wellness. What is holistic wellness? It starts from the physical and the physiological wellness, the regular medical checkups, and also encouraging people to keep good health and good healthy practices of food and diet and exercise, to emotional wellness and the mental wellness, right? The VUCA is a given thing, stress is a given thing. How do we ensure that we have the resilience individually to handle that stress, or leverage that stress towards positive outcomes? And going on to the financial wellness, right? At different stages of life, there are different financial priorities, right? A young person can learn from seniors, and seniors can start building their funds which are required for living their life, or the next part of the life. That is financial wellness part of it, and then spiritual wellness. Ultimately, it is about realizing ourselves. That is the holistic wellness piece, which is part of the people strategy. Third and fourth piece is in terms of getting the talent, being home to exceptional talent or employer of choice. What kind of a culture do we build? What kind of a digitalization that we have? What kind of systems and processes that we have? What kind of onboarding do we have that we are able to get the best of talent, which can deliver the strategy that we are conceptualizing? And then fifth part is continuously building on the honing up the capabilities within HR or the talent within HR. So that's the purpose, business strategy, HR strategy, and now I'll touch upon the last but not the least important, that is the culture part, right? So there's a saying that culture eats strategy for breakfast, and rightly so, right? So culture is something which enables the execution of the strategy. We have a culture journey which is happening for last 5 years. It began with the defining our purpose, which is greener, stronger, smarter. Thereafter, next year we again came together in terms of what will be our game plan for say 2028, and in line with that, what are the behaviors that are which are required and which are not visible in the organization, and that should start happening in the organization. For example, de-emphasizing hierarchy, right? Everybody needs to have a say, right? It is not about and the science of hierarchy, like a reserved parking for people, or say a reserved seating space for people, right? Doing away with that so that everybody and all kind of talent can contribute equally uh, uh, as part of the culture that we want to see happening over there. So what are the behavior that we want to see happening? What are the behavior that we want to stop happening? And what are the behavior that we want to continue happening? So that was a stop, start, continue. Third year, we started with mindfulness and resilience. That is the time that COVID was on. So how do we ensure that we have individually we are resilient, individually we are mindful, that we're able to build collectively a high performance organization. That is where we started visualizing the high performance organization. Come fourth year, and we had focused again on the resilience, because that was a COVID uh, continuing, and it was very important for us to build resilience in our people, in our business, everywhere, right? So and in the process, we sharpened our ask on what is that we're looking for. We distill down to the priorities as three priorities. One is leadership DNA, that is what kind of leaders we're looking for in our organization. The inspirational leadership, that is walking the talk, listening to the people, uh, coaching the people to scale up to the next level. Second priority was continued people focus, that how do we build our people who are fit for future, walk along with them to make them successful by design. That is the people focus part. And third part was a meritocracy, that how do our decisions reflect that we are fair and we promote merit at all cost, right? So that's the focus on the high performance organization. As I speak to you, as of now, we are talking about high performance contemporary organization. And the focus areas that we're working on in terms of culture building is in terms of reinforcing the behaviors that we're looking for. That is winning with teams, learning fast, failing fast, learning fast. Yeah, and also the priorities and promises that we have. That is, building a green organization, being accountable. So all these things we're driving through, recognizing the right behaviors as we see that happening every Friday, every Thursday. We have these meetings. We call that Bhumika board. Bhumika is my responsibility. Bhumika in Hindi is what is my responsibility, right? So in case somebody is demonstrating that responsibility, they get recognized by a small card which is posted on the Bhumika board over there, and the people celebrate openly. So with the philosophy that what gets recognized gets repeated. So if you're recognizing the right behaviors in the organization, that is getting repeated, and those behaviors like teamwork and collaboration, if we want to see it happening, then we have to notice when it is happening and recognize when it is happening, right? So that's one initiative that we are driving for with a lot of passion. The second one is the empowerment by design. That is what we are driving. That is the decisions, the important decisions, they need to be taken lower down the line, so that we have an organization that is far more responsive and faster to the needs of the customer and needs of the stakeholders. But when we're talking about the empowerment by design, it is also about building the people capabilities to take those decisions. So this empowerment by design is followed by the coaching sessions that we call people are, where the leaders who are delegating the decisions, they sit with the people to whom it has been delegated, what went well, what can go further, what can go better, how do we ring fence that decisions don't go wrong, what more information can is needed, who are the stakeholders that we need to connect with. That's a coaching process, so that we ensure that empowerment happens by design. It's not like that, okay, I delegated, but on the other hand, see, it doesn't happen, right? So how do I ensure that I delegate, and I delegate successfully? I delegate and empower by design. I work with people, ensure that they are successful in taking decisions, so that my bandwidth is free to think about the larger issues which needs to be anticipated in this VUCA world. So that's the culture journey that we have. So the purpose that we have is greener, stronger, smarter. Strategy I just discussed with you, that while we keep relying on the upstream business, we also move into the adjacencies and also exploring blue skies, and accordingly our HR strategy plays out, responding to the current needs, the fit for future needs, the wellness needs, the talent and the capability needs of the future, and also the culture journey that we have, that what kind of behaviors do you want to see happening, which are fit for future behaviors and fit for future mindsets, and not just talking about it, but also ensuring through interventions that that becomes the DNA of the organization. Right. So that is in our own humble way. We are building the resilient people, we are building the resilient teams, and we are building the resilient organization, and with a focus on making the organization sustainable and successful in a sustainable way. Yeah. So that's from my side, and looking forward to the interaction and the questions.
Thank you so much, sir, for actually sharing with us that how these three important aspects of today's conference, that is being resilient in this disruptive world and how to make a sustainable business. I think so in this particular aspect, Hindalco is doing a fabulous job. You're talking about stronger, greener, hierarchy-less organizations, so that you can be very, very resilient and sustain in the disruptive world. So thank you for sharing this wonderful experience of yours and sharing how Hindalco is sailing through these disruptive times.
It was really a pleasure listening to you. But I had also done my internship way back in 1990s in Hindalco Renu Sagar power plant.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful.
And I traced the journey of success that has happened, and the foundation that was laid for making the organization sustainable a longer period of time. Thanks to your chairman, Mr. Kumar Mangalam Birla, who took over close to 1994-95, and he sowed the seeds of maybe transformation in Adit Birla Group, from a traditional family organization to a traditional to a maybe more vibrant organization.
Yeah.
And I do remember he introduced this concept of high potential fast track individual. Hope this still continues, where the GMTs and the graduate engineer trainees were to be made CEOs in next 15 years of their joining.
Oh yes, it does. Oh yes, very much, very much.
So the journey of resilience doesn't begin maybe in a shorter duration of time. It takes longer,
much longer.
And definitely the trust that you have built in your people, that is very, very important. And I do remember the statements of the great industrialists, even Ratan Tata also. And when we talk of and relate with the culture of the organization, he said the businesses are, the industries are built over a longer period of time. Businesses are built for a shorter duration to make profits. This is what maybe your group has also done it. Because in the times of crisis, when the organization stands by its people, that's very important. I was reading elsewhere, Trust is developed over a period of time, but trust is tested during difficult times. This is where our industrialists have lived up to it. And during COVID and even today, they are taking their people together in this phase of disruption when the global recession is maybe facing us, hitting us, trying to hit us in at India as well. But as of now, manufacturing sector is not that affected. But yes, hopefully, we'll be able to sail through this difficult time.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And you know our organization so well. Good to hear that from you. And
Thank you.
you're rightly saying that it's built over a period of time. So the oldest plant that we have in Hindalco is 1938 plant.
Right.
Yeah. And just now I was in Alupuram, that is Cochin. That plant is a 1943 plant actually. Yeah. Yeah. And our Renukut plant is 1958 plant. So that for some time, for a longer period of time, we have been resilient and sustainable. Yeah, and it is rightly so because of the foresight, vision of the leaders who focus on building a resilient and sustainable organization. Right, Renu Saga itself is an example of that. And it visualized that Rehan is not going to cater to the requirement, the power requirement of Renukut, and that is where Renu Sagar took place. That is, no requirement of the plant was around 800 megawatt, while Rehan could produce only around some 150, and Renu Sagar came into the picture. That's a foresight, which ensured organization success and resilience and sustainability. Yeah. And now the foresight is how do we make it green?
Okay. Okay.
Good morning, sir. One question from my side. Actually, I also did my internship at Hindalco Renukut.
Oh,
That
wonderful.
was during my MBA. So it's a small world. And it was during my MBA from 98 to 2000, 1999, I was there. And I
All right.
also remember the captive power plant, which was, very much famous over at that time, as you mentioned. So this Bumka board, which you have mentioned, is it a part of your TQM initiatives in some way?
It's part of a culture initiative. So culture initiative is driven by a top leadership and all the business managers, all the people. It's like ownership is with everybody. So for last, as I mentioned, that for last 5 years we have been doing this journey, right? And we have been kind of narrowing down the focus, right? So it is the focus now is on terms of recognizing and promoting those behaviors with the viewpoint that what gets recognized gets repeated in the organization. So we have defined the behaviors that we want to see happening. And now the thing is we have involved every level. So workmen get recognized, staff get recognized, management card recognized. It's no longer only a thing which is driven by leaders in the organization. Everybody is a leader. Everybody is a leader. So workmen can recognize each other. Workmen can recognize their seniors. So that way it is. Yeah.
So is it some kind of a manual board which has been put up on the show floor somewhere?
Yes. So while technology enables, but on the other hand, the physical thing, people are used to seeing that. No, when somebody gives me a card personally, the value of that is far more compared to somebody sending me a WhatsApp message, a happy birthday. So just an example, right? Or somebody coming and wishing me personally that no, this is what I see in you. This is what the card name is. You inspire me. This is what the name of the card is. You inspire me. So this is the behavior that I see in you, and this is what inspires me, and that makes a huge difference to me. So one of the cards I put in front of me over here when I got that card, right? So it can be anybody, right? And I can see those people kind of taking those cards, showing that to family. Every week I also recognize somebody or the other. So it makes a workplace a happier place actually, right? Compared to a rigid, it makes a place a happy, smiling, clapping place, which is far more human compared to the command chain kind of a thing actually. Yeah.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
I think so. You will have to come down to our campus because now there are two people who would love to go down the memory lane with you. Okay. And
Yeah.
definitely sharing more of your experience and how you execute things at the grassroots level with our students.
Yeah.
So we love to have you physically at our campus. And,
My pleasure. My pleasure. And it was a wonderful surprise to have people who worked with Hindalco earlier than
Yes.
me, actually, right? So great to hear their stories, and looking forward to exchange of more
Same.
stories.
So,
Same.
Mr. Mohit, I'm Sagrika Rai here, and
Yes.
as you've already found two people who have had close roots with Hindalco, Redukot, and Renusagar, I must admit that I am also one of them who joined the
Oh
boat.
my.
Wow.
So my father has worked very closely. I was born in Banaras, and we were a family based out of Varanasi.
All
And my
right.
father has worked very closely with Hindalco in Renukut. And my uncle was one of the initiating engineers when Renu Sagar plant was being set up to be inducted in the team. So
Wow.
as a child, I have beautiful memories, the very green Renukut that I remember. And now that you say that, you know, you are kind of going into more green initiatives, I can only imagine it getting better in every way. So I have memories of beautiful concerts in your auditorium, even at a concert as a very young child where Ravi Shankar ji was playing. And so I have seen and appreciated the roundness of the institute, the ethos and the culture of the company that you belong to. And all of a sudden, there was a lot of nostalgia. And while you were talking, that kind of hit me. So lovely to meet you today.
Same here to hear your story, and I can see the connect that you still have.
Right,
Renupur
right.
and Banaras. And no, it will
Yes,
be our pleasure to host all of you sometime in Renukut and our other plans as well.
right.
It would be great, actually.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The second guest of honor, ladies and gentlemen, for
Thank you.
today's inaugural session is Miss Sagrika Rai, founder and creative director, RAP and WEFT.
All right.
Miss Sagrika Rai is a university topper with an underlying reverence for textile history. She launched one of the first independent boutique Banaras textile brand in the Heritage District of Mumbai in 1997. Her contribution to the area of women empowerment, upliftment of the artisans, conservation and sustainability of Banaras handloom, the rich Indian heritage, has been recognized in the form of awards like the New Indian Express Devi Award by the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh 2019, Femina Spark Mission Shakti Award in 2001 from the government of Uttar Pradesh, Bharat Ratna Ustad Bismillah Khan Vyapar Ratna Award in 2022, and Top 50 Women in Indian Luxury by the Black Book in 2017. She has been invited to various countries like Denmark, Italy, UK to exhibit the heritage weaves of Banaras. Her brand, RAP and WEFT, stands tall as an institution and continues to celebrate the Banaras weaves for over 2 decades for both domestic and international audience. Ma'am, we are eager to listen to your story and your experiences of life. Over to you.
Thank you, Shivani. It's an absolute pleasure and honor to be here amidst some very, very discerning and esteemed senior professors and leaders of the industry who make the complete business environment and also define the economic environment of a country. To start with, my brand, WOP and WEFT, was a very small little enterprise that I thought of and conceived in 1997. Of course, how did I get into it? Like I just mentioned to Mr. Mohit, I'm born and raised in Banaras, so had the luxury and the beautiful opportunity to meet with weavers and artisans at a very young age. when I was still schooling and pursuing my academics. Having said that, I think I did realize and I did discover that I had an eye for the textile and a vision which I could see floating, but it was not, kind of spelled out, so pronounced in my schooling years, in my college years. Then I got married, came to Bombay, and realized that the world around me and the people who I was meeting and interacting with were rather discerning and very interesting, artistically well-read, rounded. And the only thing that I saw missing was the recognition and the very prestige of our Indian heritage textiles. And the world was moving more towards the Western trends and satins and shamus and crepes that were being imported into our Indian plethora of textile industry. I did come up with this very minuscule idea that I must present to the audience around me, the heritage textile of Benares. I have to admit there was a lot of resistance from the family because I'm the first in my family to firstly come into business. We were a family of pure academics and bankers, and then kind of textile. I was the first in my family to take up textiles. But I think an important part that I would make, since we have a lot of students and researchers around us, is for the success of an entrepreneur, somewhere you have to identify with your strength and your vision, and just take the plunge to experiment and go ahead with it. Back then, 25 years back to 1997, when I thought of jumping from mainstream to taking up an enterprise of this nature, the idea was very primitive. Today, we are in a culture of startups and youngsters taking plunges into pursuing their hobbies and taking it up and making it successful. So it was like a slow step, but a rather firm step, I must say. Being pivotal with the fragmented roles that a woman has to play, from being a mother. I was already a mother of a year-old, and of course, you are also the homemaker. The woman remains the homemaker always in the Indian system. There were certain kind of protocols and procedural challenges that I could see coming along my way. And hence, I decided to address it rather early in life and making systems, not intermingling my professional and personal life, and evolving each day with a new procedural system, a new SOP in my own mind, in my very small little organization. The sector that I decided to take up was again at the cottage industry. The handloom textiles, as we know, is perhaps one of the most ancient in India and enjoyed the pinnacle in the Indian history. But at the same time, the side which I'm sure is a known fact, that it is perhaps the most disorganized sector of our of the different industries that we boast of. So that was another challenge that I had to address. And then I was dealing with a community of artisans, which were predominantly male-driven. So there was a building up of my own stature, my own positioning as a woman leader, to show them the way, to show them the vision. Well, I must say that the journey became easier because the mission was very clear in my heart. And we were slowly treading on to bringing the beautiful textiles and the creations of our weavers with, of course, interaction, many sessions at the ground level to kind of present the best of the skill set to the world. And slowly a brand was being built, a culture that I was not just propagating and promoting within India with our domestic clients, but also internationally. And as I faced the more, discerning audiences, the more international, through my travel, through my exploration of the world, and I would see what is missing in our cottage industry. And I would slowly like to bring in and implement those into systems and follow those to the key. Apart from, of course, attacking the very system of even record keeping, where even the dyeing of yarns is not computerized, where all the processes that are integral to our weaving industry are completely as organic and as hand-done as one can imagine it. So the system of record keeping and simple things which today come in very handy to us as an organization, I think those corrections at the very ground level, at the primitive level, have made a difference to the way we function today in our company. And of course, the same culture, the same methodology that was important to bring into the workforce, which was client facing. The biggest challenge in our textile weaving industry, we are promoting slow luxury. And as we know, it is a lot of patience. The weaves and the textiles that sometimes from production to coming to the forefront takes about 6 months to 9 months. So the one thing that I learned is patience all through my life, because that has become second nature to me and also to the company. But at the same time, valuing the timeline, valuing the importance of delivery, because even though the numbers were not the driver in my very passion project, it wasn't a commercially driven enterprise, but at the end of the day, it was important that the deliveries and the financial success was taken into account. And coming to the financial aspect, like I'm a creative person, unlike the industries that we have leaders here of. We are completely in the creative space. And one of the points that one of the opening speakers and the professor made, that stress-free for any important, for any success of a company, an industry, the very important and the baseline falls on your levels of stress. And a creative person surely cannot afford to be stressed. And hence the financial stability was extremely important. And the strategy, the fundamental that I use for my company, the module, was it's an enterprise which is driven by passion, which is driven by a mission to promote the work of the artisans to the world. If I bring in a level of stress, I will not be able to do justice to what I wish to promote. And hence, I decided to work and reinvest our capital back into the company, slowly building a base for ourselves, which helped us pull through the disruptions that we have faced in the past. Weavers always enjoy the center stage for us in our company. Weavers always enjoy the forefront, and hence to keep them well paid, to keep them well taken care of, was always at the prime focus of our journey of 25 years, and it remains so even going forward. Then, of course, the disruption, the cloud of the pandemic, which hit us all businesses alike, small and big, all humans alike. We were all in the same challenges. We were all in the same space. The first lockdown was actually time for retrospect. And that's where I kind of felt the strength of being a woman, the strength of being a woman leader, because by default, by characteristic, a woman is strong to take any emotional setbacks, to take any kind of challenges. And that's where I saw for the first time, really, all these years I was doing it slowly, but the first time I felt the power of being the woman, the power of the Shakti inside coming into play. And I decided to lead my team with a smile, and I decided to lead my team with the positive energy and the impetus that they needed at that time. Of course, there were some strategic decisions which had to be taken. We are a homegrown brand where touch and feel in our space of textiles is very important. And we were always endorsing the culture, grace, even through our atelier, little nuances that we would like to bring into play when a customer walked into our store. And it was more like an experience of Banaras as a whole, rather than just buying a product which was woven or which maybe took some man hours and a technical detail. It was more like an emotion that they were relating to. And that was the emotion which was the toughest for us to strategize. The world was going digital. There was an explosion of the social media space. There was an explosion of websites. So did we. We never had a website all this time. And at the time of the first lockdown, I felt the need that, no, it is important to evolve into the digital space, but the challenge remaining to replicate the nostalgia of an industry like ours, where every element of how you were even served a cup of tea in store mattered. And there was a lot of thought, I have to admit, that fourfold determination and far more laborious times that we led in making that transition from being offline to even going online and replicating the same experience. The customer and the customer base, which every business wanted to retain, and it had gone, the customer interaction had gone completely virtual. And here, this was a time where it was important to step in, use the advantage of the advancements in technology and bring them into play, and replicating the experiences to our customers sitting all over the world, be it domestically or even internationally. Little changes that we had to make, and I think Mr. Mohit has spoken about it before me, even in the induction of the team. Like every other company, we have few players in the team who've been with us for over 2 decades and still remain strong. But then their limitations, their experiences are numerous. Their experiences add value to our customer interaction. But we needed to induct a younger team. And today I'm proud to say that my daughter has joined the business, and the legacy of promoting textiles is being carried on. During the pandemic, there were also a lot of very interesting webinars and discussions that were happening. People were utilizing that time to exchange ideas, who were experts in their own fields. I did the same. I was part of many conversations and conversations of world leaders in the fashion and the textile genre. And I was more interested in reading the history of the company. And what I was seeing over there, that these are companies, these are world leaders who have enjoyed presence for 100 years and over. And that was a very inspiring moment. And that was something I must say, that it was a time of absorption. It was a time of changing our the way we were looking at our module of something as simple but as meritorious as our heritage textiles. And that's when I think even my education background came into play. And I said, no, we need to have a far more scientific approach. Well, resilience is one that was building up for 20 years and over, because the space that I was in, like I expressed, it was all about patience. It was all about dealing, conquering your milestones, reaching out, being a woman leader, reaching out to society, which was completely male dominated, even in our community of artisans, and for them to kind of establish that goodwill with their leader, to be able to believe in me, was equally important. The goodwill of the customer now came into play. Strategically, the natural way forward would have been, the world is facing an economic crisis. And as I could see in the digital explosion of products and textiles similar to ours that were being floated. And what I kind of observed, that people were moving and companies were moving towards powerloom, because I think there was a kind of a sentiment or an emotion, or even maybe a commercial driver to run the companies, for companies to be in the same space and genre as us, to go towards powerloom. And it was about instant production and instant presentation, and bringing forward more powerloom into play, which is something that I observed during the pandemic days and the pandemic years. And there was a bit of planning that was going on in my head. And I said, the ethos of Wapenwerft remains to be the most artisanal, finest textile that we have always aimed to present to the world. So do I want to compromise on the front of the quality? And the answer to me was, in my subconscious, was a complete no. And there again, I would like to specify, if I have to decode what the point that I'm making, that it is important to remain close to your objective. It is important to remain to your puristic goals as well, even though we make different strategic changes. We had to make a strategic change in production. And my strategic change of my company was, are we in a rush to produce and to deliver? No, the demand was of the space, the luxurious space that I deal in and I present to the world. The demand had fallen. So what was my take to this? And I said, well, we are in no rush to deliver. And hence, what we should do is utilize our master craftsmen to create the more archived textiles, to create the more intricate weaves where, to be honest, we were presenting the best to the world, but there were things, there were challenges, there were experiments which were put on hold, which we could not put forward in the days of our normal running of the business. And this was perfect timing for us to created to innovate beyond the expected, the limitations of handloom that always pose a challenge. And we took it upon us that we would create a breakthrough in the history of textiles. And we will utilize the time doing our best and bringing the best forward because we were in no rush. And in the true sense, what we did weave together as a team is slow luxury, as goes the mantra of my brand. Today, I'm boastful that when I carry those gorgeous textiles, when I carry those beautiful creations of my weavers, I leave the world in awe. I've just had the, I must say, the privilege to present some of these very ornate, intricate, intrinsic pieces of craftsmanship to the world. I've visited Denmark, I've visited Italy, and the reactions were literally extremely heartening. That's where one feels again that to remain rooted to the core, to remain rooted to the soul of the company is extremely important in times of challenges, in times of slowness, in times of reduced demands. Today, I say, I see newness in our timelessness. What we portray, what we bring forward to the world is extremely classic, is extremely timeless, and we remain to the core of the company. The good thing that the shift that the company saw with the younger team coming into play, we are a close-knit team. We are not a large company. We are, I would say, a classic example of a small, medium enterprise. The younger talent, there was so much for me to learn from them each day and absorb and innovate and embrace. So we made it as a time to embrace. We made it as a time to absorb and grow beyond our old school of thoughts and beyond our limitations. Today, my daughter brings in ideas and views. She has her way to tackle the team. She has her own energizing, interesting ways to bring forward and take care of the HR activities, which keeps the impetus. And at the core of the work, at the core and the soul of the company still remains puristic, and we grow with time. We still weave slow luxury. We still weave the stories of what our proud weavers have to present to the world. Of course, adopting and embracing every change that has come our way. Interestingly, we all had our challenges. We all had our domestic challenges. We all had our emotional challenges. We all had our challenges on the health front. We even faced technical challenges because there was the need of going into cloud. There was the need of even your finance team, even your finance officers to remain on cloud. There was a lot of effort, manpower involved to make the transition from a very offline system going into online. But today we are reaping the benefits, and we are seeing ourselves surely another 25 years going strong. I would let the floor be for any questions, for any interactions coming our way. I must quote this once before I end. There was a sense of, a strange sense of patriotism towards the company that we saw in our team during the times of pandemic. And I think that itself defines a culture that itself defines the kind of reaping the fruits of the investment that one makes in establishing relationships with not just your customer base, but even the team who is together and sailing the boat. So I would let the floor or anybody ask me any questions, any interactions, and happy to answer that.
Okay, I have one question.
Yes.
So you did talk about that as a woman, you feel very you were empowered when COVID hit, and you felt that that Shakti came inside you. But during
Right.
this initial years, did you feel
Right.
that you were in the men's world and you were facing some kind of challenges as a woman, or which were different from your counterparts?
Right. So, like I said, my biggest challenge was at the ground level. My very base core of my industry, which is male dominated. So it took me a few years to establish that relationship, establish that goodwill and mutual respect, even amongst my weavers. Because how could a 26, 27-year-old girl tell them to tweak this skill set, uh, utilizing the skill set, but presenting it to the world a little differently, presenting it to the world, making it more relevant. It was again about slowness. It was again about instilling the concept within them to accept and absorb me as their leader, as their the eyes that was giving the vision to actually a textile genre which was in its faded glory when I started off. Today, there is a lot of buzz about handloom. Interestingly, for last 9 years, there is education amongst even the younger girls. People are interested world over in what handloom is. When I started, it wasn't. And the confidence was lost amongst the weavers. There was rejection. There was dejection. Even if I would propose an idea for them to weave and sit with them for hours on the loom, there was disinterest to even take it forward, because the confidence of whether this would be received well was not there, was a little lost. So the first step that I had to break through was becoming a kind of a guiding force to a set of artisans who are mostly men. And of course, today I'm proud to say that we have women weavers also inducted in our team, doing some great work. At work, in the forefront, in Mumbai, city life, the perils of city life, a woman with her fragmented roles, being pivotal to a family, motherhood, and a work discipline, where the challenge being a woman was, how do I not intermingle my professional and my personal space and come through? Luckily, I'm in a family where we are very strong women, and my husband has stood besides me. And very soon it was established amongst everybody, my friends and my family, that she ain't going to give up. So we better go with the flow. And slowly, I was gaining everyone's encouragement, cooperation at all stages. But of course, that was like a breakthrough that took me a few years to build that respect and to build that positioning for my own self.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your piece of experience, and that too really a great one in terms of the products that you are maybe catering to. Definitely, Banarsi saris are a luxury, in today's time. Hopefully, I don't know whether the taste in India still remains among the elite. This is a question I don't know much about it, but definitely, if you are able to promote it in the developed countries like Germany, European countries, definitely it's a really maybe an honor for not just the artisans but the product Banarsi sari that used to be known for. Ma'am, I could go through the three challenges that you rightly highlighted. Shift from handloom to power loom. The second challenge that I had read at various places that the chemicals that were used for dyeing of the saris. So EU countries and other developed countries have banned the dyes. And the third one is again from a physical store to a shift to an online store, e-commerce. So how could you overcome the three challenges, because they were happening together? So how to bridge and get the best takeaways from each of the challenge and implement it in the product that you are really promoting so nicely.
Right. So, sir, like I said in my mind, whilst the space where digitization was seeing explosion, like I said earlier, was seeing power loom floating. Even today, there is power loom floating enormously. Even though the government is establishing and re-establishing the importance of handloom, which we should be proud of, which India has always been boastful of, the shift towards power loom is seeing a rapid increase. That's where the responsibility of entrepreneurs like us comes into play. And whilst this was happening, especially during the pandemic years, which we thought was ending in the first year, but then there was the second wave, the third wave, and it seemed like a never-ending challenge. That's where, in my mind, I was, like I said, I decided that the company ethos has always been to present to the world the heritage, the meritorious textile. And hence, it is important, like for every player like me in the industry, to take that up and to stick to being with your puristic mission. No offense, but the biggest industries today who are stepping in to even safeguard brands which were well known, perhaps very well known, are also not considering the origin, the source of how the product is reaching them and how they are able to. And I think the very fact there has to be some sort of certification, there has to some sort of drawing a line. Why are we ashamed to sell power loom as power loom? We should not be. Let it drive its own price, let it drive its own space, but we should not intermingle, or we should not put forward power loom as handloom. So that's another topic for another day. But yes, the responsibility of leaders like us who have a mission, who are driven by mission, who are driven by a passion, should not get diluted. And that's a challenge in our own mind. And like I chose to utilize my karigars, my artisans, doing far more intrinsic work. And today that intrinsic work is being received by my customers even better. So maybe sometimes we don't have to look at the short gains. We have to look at the long-term objective and remain pure and remain true to that. Could you repeat the last question, the third part of your question?
Moving from a physical store to an online
Yes.
e-commerce platform. Yeah.
Yes. Wasn't easy. Wasn't easy. Because, like I said, we have invested 20 odd years in customer relationship. For us, the customer goodwill is important. Having said that, there was always a scientific approach because unlike other industries where people, well, for that matter, JP is an example for that, a business family coming into academics. I was an academic person coming into a business enterprise. So there was always a scientific approach to it. There was always a thought, deeper thought, that what do I want to portray? And that was the nuances and the elements of Banaras as a wholesome experience. And somebody coming into the store, appreciating the textile was not about buying a product. Till today, I hate to give I hate to give a sari a SKU code because for me, it's an emotion. For me, it's a story. It's a textile that tells a story. The shift was extremely challenging. But that's where the younger team made my job easier and made the shift easier. The online presence was completely my daughter's baby, and she kind of got with her a team of youngsters who could read what I wanted to put forward, who could translate my vocabulary of my love for textiles into an online presence. Also, the challenge when we thought the driver was to get into even creating our own website was human resource, poor accessibility to human resource. We did not have access to models. We did not have access to photographers. We did not have the luxury of going, jumping, hopping studios. So we decided to do it in-house. And we came up with a module where I said, well, does a sari say that it is subjective to a prototype of a human being? No. In fact, sari by default is the most beautiful garment that is free for all, one size fits all. And hence, we said, let's do a website which has no models, which has no humans. And the only human touch and the feel would be about the textile itself, about the weave itself. So we innovated a look with lot of experiments. And today I see many others doing that, following that trend. It was cost effective. We had to be very mindful of the financials we put in. So it was a cost effective way to go forward. And we did come out with an interesting module where the website portrays the heritage without very many humans on it. It was much later when the world opened up that we started to induct human faces to our website and our online presence. So yes, strategically, there were many changes. The biggest change was my own mindset, because being a small company, being a company which is like my baby, it was a mindset change for me first. So I think the first challenge which my daughter had to face, I have to admit, was bringing me to terms with that we need online presence. We cannot be old school anymore. And I think every war brings revolutions. And I see it as the biological war. bringing the revolution in our thought process, and Wapenwef evolving to another level. Today, when I move the world, today, when I face leading fashion houses internationally, there's a different sense of confidence. There's a different sense of, so to say, like being rooted and being strong. So if that answers your question.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your response.
Thank you so much for gracing our international conference, for your wonderful story that you've told us. I would just like to take this opportunity, to congratulate you for actually, so to say, transforming your business, which is traditionally a very high-touch business, to an online, sort of model, sort of, digitally transforming yourself. So I think that's noteworthy, and that's really remarkable. It's eventually very lovely to meet you and lovely to hear your story. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Ma'am, can I
Thank
ask
you.
a question if you are okay?
Of course, please.
Yeah. Good morning, ma'am, and good morning, everyone. Ma'am, as we all know that India is a land of opportunities, and we have a very strong cultural heritage, and most of our population is engaged in the agriculture as well as the handloom and handicraft. So my question is related, as you are into this industry, so I do have a question because I have seen that these products, means handloom product or the handicraft product, at time are considered quite expensive. So what measures you have taken over the years to bring the price into control? Second thing was about the penetration. The penetration was into entering the small towns, because as we have seen that most of these handicraft and the handlooms are there in the small villages of UP, or you can say small villages all over India. From there, how it can be penetrated to the small towns of India. And third is a projection. Projection, I'm talking about how they can be converted to as we know that they are majorly in the ethnic wear, but how they can be converted to a formal wear. Also, we have seen the Banarsi sarees and all, but what about the men? Means how you can say they can be have a, you can say, as it is being, Banarsi is always earmarked as for a woman. What about the men? Means how, what have you done over the years so that we can have a clothing line for the men in the Banarsi range, something like that? And what about the online distribution about these things? So if you can
Right.
briefly said, it is a long question, but I just
Right.
want a brief, if you can give me some.
Of course.
Thank
Of
you.
course. Thank you, Sumit, for asking this question, because
I
I
have done
think
a project on this, that is something on this line on a few months back. So therefore, these were the things which I'm still wondering that how I can have a check on these questions. So therefore, I raised this question. Thank you, ma'am.
right. So, Sumit, it's a very interesting question, and you laid out very key points, which are, I think it would be a loss if I went without discussing it. So, thank you for asking these questions, first of all. To first go about the penetration into the smaller districts, into the smaller rural areas, I think that is something which I must tell you, that if you go around with your project, do a further research, you will find that the smaller districts and the rural areas are already rich with these handicrafts and with the local produce. It is the bigger cities, it is the, I would say, the how we, I hate to call myself designer because I ain't one, but I'm more like a textile revivalist. It is how we designers present it to the world. The smaller cities, the rural neighborhoods around these communities of artisans and handicrafts are beautifully populated and penetrated with the cultural grace of our handloom and handicraft. It's the audience in the bigger cities that need education. And I would tell you that if I ask a question in a smaller city,
Ma'am, you are on mute, ma'am.
can you hear me now?
Ma'am.
Would you
Yes,
like me
ma'am.
to? Yeah. So you would be surprised that a woman in a rural neighborhood of where, India is divided into different states. And the beauty of India is every state, as we progress, the landscape of food, the landscape of culture, the landscape of handicraft, and the landscape of topography changes. So the neighborhoods from all the textile centers are well versed with its richness. You will be surprised that it's the woman or the man in the city who needs education of distinguishing between power loom and handloom. Coming to the price point, handloom is our heritage. Handloom is our pride. Why is it that the mindset says that if there is a name attached to a garment, a woman is happy to spend in lakhs, or a man is happy to spend any number that is attached to the price tag? Why do we undervalue handloom? It is the most labor-centric, not just labor-centric, it's a master craftsmanship. There are videos that we keep floating on a channel to educate our customers, and you would be surprised and you would be shocked to see that even though a handloom that enjoys a scientific installation, it is far more complicated than even an embroidery, because an embroidery has the luxury of placement anywhere, testing samples. Handloom, the vision has to be correct, has to be precise, even before the looming, the graphing is done. And then, in spite of that, with the plethora of punch cards and the scientific play of the warp and weft in the loom, we are in the hands and the master craftsmanship of the weaver, where he works by memory. Which shuttle he picks up, he lifts to bring the color, even though it is specified in a paper drawing and stuck in front of him, it remains his labor of love. So why do we undervalue handloom? Why are we not ready to pay the price that it draws? Well, having said that, if we still sell power loom in name of handloom, it is in no fairness justified. But if we are buying true craftsmanship, labor of love, yes, the weaver with companies like us who remains in the forefront is well paid, is well rewarded for the work, for the effort that he's put in to create a sari, a textile, which is a piece of art in itself. So we must not fear paying the price that the handloom drives. Coming to the use of the textile. Well, your research into textiles should also take you into the pages of the history books on textiles, where the Maharajas of India are dressed up and adorned in the most gorgeous ornate brocades. And which groom in India wears a suit? I would hope they don't. So they should stick to the ethnic wear. And a textile revivalist like me does not see fixated with the use of the textile. The textile can be in form of a sari. The textile can be, why can't it be like a gorgeous shirt for a man? Or why can't it be a pair of shorts for a woman, for a young girl who's going clubbing? So we cannot limit the use of our textile. And that should be what we should be proud of. We should be boastful in utilizing our textiles in every silhouette, in every structure. And what is holding us back? What is holding us back is our own mindset. Why is it important, Sumit, for you to wear a check shirt today in a conference? Why can't it be your own weave? Why can't it be a play of checks in weave? So that's what we do at Warp and Weft. We do from florals to geometric randomness to checks to stripes. We create the textile for every mood, for every age. The textile and the weaver does not work. The vision does not work with limiting or capping an age demography, or even the demography, limiting the demography of the use of the textile. The same textile can be worn by me as a blouse for my sari. And if you go on my website, you'll see we've done some enormous, gorgeous skirts for young girls in the same textile. Our imagination has to be far wider and not fixated and not premeditated.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for a very insightful talk. While I absolutely agree with you regarding the beauty of hand-woven sarees, but I was going through some research, and it says that power loom has considerably improved the production and the living standard of artisans. And on the same line, Government of India has come up with a lot of policies like tax benefit and marketing support for power loom sector. So, what is your say on it?
I think it's fantastic, and that's how it should be. And like I said, Powerloom today enjoys very sophisticated machinery, very sophisticated machinery. So Powerloom should enjoy its separate identity. But Powerloom is not there to replace the heritage handloom. And hence, these are two separate genres. These are two separate kind of fields that we must decide as the leader of a company that weaves textiles. Is my genre handloom or is my genre powerloom? And that would be something I would urge even to bigger companies, that they should do so too. If we are giving it a mark of hand woven and handmade in India, we should not disrespect the mark. Because powerloom is equally sophisticated, and powerloom is what the world manufactures. So why should we shy presenting it as powerloom? But handmade should remain handmade.
Yeah,
because that enjoys the pinnacle in our that enjoys the pinnacle. That's a culture. We cannot drift away from that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, ma'am, for this wonderful session and taking us through this. We were living your journey, and you so beautifully you presented your experiences. And I'm sure now we are also much more educated about handloom and why we should pay the value for the handloom, the products. Thank you so much. Thank you. Moving on to our next speaker. I feel proud and privileged to introduce you all to the keynote speaker for the day, Mr. Arindam Lahiri, Chief Executive Officer, Automotive Skill Development Council, ASDC, a passionate professional with a career spanning over 30 years. His initial years of career were spent in the manufacturing sector, followed by 2 decades of experience across all domains of education and training. He started his career with Maruti Udyog, received global exposure at Honeywell USA, and had an entrepreneurial string as director and co-founder at Career Launcher India. His last assignment was with the educational division of HT Media Limited. Mr. Larry is currently on the advisory board of startups, educational institutions, and policy review committees of state and central government ministries. Sir has done his bachelor's in mechanical engineering from Jadavpur University and has completed his postgraduate diploma in marketing and operations from IIM Lucknow. It is my privilege to welcome you, sir, as the keynote addressee. Sir, we are anxiously waiting for your session. Over to you.
Thank you, Professor Kapoor, and thank you for inviting me for this international conference.
Pleasure is entirely ours.
Thank you, and it was a very engaging discussion from Ms. Rai on textiles and the entrepreneurial venture that she's been engaged with. It's a really very fascinating story. And I must say that it resonates with the current level of work that we do around skilling, though I do it in a very mechanical area or a machine area, as I would say. But at the end of the day, people skills is what matters most. So, as per the theme of this particular session, about building resilient businesses for sustainability, in this particular era of disruptions where there is so much volatility, ambiguity, complexity, and uncertainty. So, one of the areas that I sometimes, a lot of people do ask me this question, and I must start with that question, that you started off as a professional in the automotive industry, and then you ended up in education training, and that too not in the formal education and training space. So what made you do that shift? What I realized is that being in a manufacturing industry that I started with, I started my career with Maruti and then went on to work with electronics hardware manufacturing company, and then with Honeywell, where we worked on various other products around turbine applications, automotive applications, etc. I figured out that my core interest lies in supply chain. And what I was doing at that point in time was supply chain of materials, which is what supply chain as a terminology is mostly associated with. And therefore, my techno-commercial background kind of helped me do that for about a decade. In the process, what I realized is that this is a pretty well-defined supply chain problem. Of course, there are disruptions, there are innovations, there are challenges. All of it is happening on that supply chain concept. But the other supply chain, the other M, is where probably the bigger challenge lies, which is about man or manpower or workforce supply chain. And this is exactly what drew me to the field of training primarily. And I realized that there is a set of existing institutions that are working on school education, higher education, etc. But then when I'm in the industry, I still find a lot of challenge about getting the right skilled, qualified manpower coming into work for various organizations. And, if I look back at it, when I started about more than 30 years back in Maruti, and I was working with the supply chain, and we were launching a new model of vehicle, which had a lot of first at that point in time, in terms of the kind of technology that we were supposed to use, etc. we were really struggling to find, suppliers who could actually supply us those particular parts. And the target was that we must have at least 70% localized parts to start with, because there are certain benefits, etc., that we would take as Maruti as per the existing policies. Um, and then we realized that one of the easier problem to solve was whatever machinery was required to get into that space or that area of work was easy to do. But then where do you find people who could run those machines, and who could run those machines not only just to produce that sample part, but produce thousands of parts every day with a high level of productivity and consistent quality, because that's what automobile industry needs, because it's high volume production that happens with high quality. So the challenge was always around people. And if I look at that, if you are to build resilient businesses for this world where disruptions are happening, and I wouldn't say it is a new challenge. It's just that the speed at which the disruptions are happening is now significantly faster. The cycle time for disruptions is very small, and therefore, almost every day or every year you are facing lots of different new paradigms which you may not have been considering in your annual plans or strategic plans, etc. And therefore, you have to kind of, still sustain your business. And I think one of the core skills there of entrepreneurs, business leaders, is around flexibility and adaptability. And that is one of the core skills that our education and training system must inculcate. Unfortunately, most of our education and training is very, I would say, structurally rigid. You have to do 3 exams in a year. You have to do 20 hours of courses to be, or whatever, to be doing 1 credit. And the flexibility in learning, its environment itself, is probably one of the core challenges that we need to address. Uh, One of my personal experiences in the past at IIM Lucknow, when I was doing my second year of study, we were fascinated by this option to do something what is called a course of independent studies. And we had just come out of, I did my management program immediately after my engineering, so I really didn't have much of a work experience per se. So when I went around and wanted to understand from my professors about what this course of independent study means, what am I supposed to learn? My professor told me that you have to decide what you want to learn, and you decide the curriculum and you learn that, and we will, evaluate you on that. And I thought it was amazing, because it was shifting the onus of learning onto me. So it was not that I am handed out that this is the curriculum, this is the course, this is what you need to learn, and this is what you want to do. And then, I said, what would be the structure? So there, it was told that you need to work with one professor for designing this program and work on it and do that. And then we came out with a problem which needed both operations and marketing issues to be addressed in supply chain as well as the marketing side of it. And this was around public distribution system, which was a very major issue at that point in time, because the public distribution system, most people were dependent on that. There were lots of issues around the distribution channels, etc. And we said that, okay, fine, but what if two of us do it? One of us look at it from an operations perspective, and the other person looks at it at a marketing perspective, and we do one single project, and two students are doing this course of independent study, and two faculty members will be assigned to one faculty member, a different faculty member will be assigned to one person essentially. And so there were two of us. We were aligned to one person, one professor, but the two of them were working together, and the two of us were working together. And this was the kind of flexibility that we grew up in, and that is where probably today, when I look back at my education, I think uh, that in itself gave me tremendous flexibility to even have a mindset that I move from a very hardcore manufacturing industry, as in automobile engineering industry, to something which is education and training, which is non-regulated, non-industrialized, etc. And as an individual, I think that I used to wonder sometimes, where did my flexibility come from? I thought it came from my education and my exposure during my education itself. And of course, it kind of got added during my work life as well. So coming back to this, I think one of the core principles that I believe that allows you to build very resilient business is to have this element of flexibility and adaptability. When we built this business called Career Launcher, and we started with something that we knew actually, which was how to prepare students for getting into an MBA college. And But we didn't stop at that, because we realized that that itself is very vulnerable to the changing trends of people wanting to do something. So we kind of got into many different areas around education and training, including vocational education and training and skills, which actually made a lot of sense to me personally, because I came into this with that kind of a mindset. uh, the second piece that I want to focus on in this particular theme is around having a building a capability of learning to learn. And this is again something which I think I learned during my 2 years of management education only. And sustainable businesses are which those businesses which learn from what they are doing today, learn from it, and keep moving. So it's kind of linked to that flexibility piece, but it's absolutely different from a perspective of how you want to execute this. Learning to learn is essentially, and I must, I'm just drawing from my education because that's where I learned it. I'm not saying anything new. It's just accumulation and a reflection of what I have learned and what I have been able to apply during my work life. And this came from our director at that point in time in IIM Lucknow, and she raised a question at our first orientation program, and she said, all of you will learn a lot of different subjects over the next 21 months, ranging from finance to law to systems to operations, marketing, HR, etc., etc. But let me warn you right now that you will probably not use any of this content at all entirely in your work life. And therefore, you might want to question me that why are we teaching you all of this? And that's when she said that we are building you, or we are grooming you to learn how to learn. Because what you will do 2 decades from now or 3 decades from now, neither do we know, nor do you know. Okay. And she obviously talked about a very long term. In today's context, I might say that we don't even know what that student will do after 5 years, getting out of college after 5 years, and what technology or what environment that person will be working, what systems will the person be working? None of us know, neither the candidate nor the academician that we have today. But the core element of a course or a program in anything that you do is to help you realize how can you learn something new, and your zeal and your passion for learning something new is extremely important in terms of what you want to do going ahead in your life, building your businesses, making it resilient, and even in your personal life. I think this holds you in excellent situation that you can learn new things, and that is something which is very important. If I come back to the automotive industry that I belong to today, this significant amount of changes that are happening, and nobody knows what kind of fuel energy is going to survive over the next 10 years. A lot of people talk about battery electric vehicle, but that's just only one option. India is very truly experimenting with ethanol based flex fuel engines. That is definitely a feasibility. We have already moved into CNG. That is definitely a possibility of survival. We've already started experimenting with hydrogen gas. That is definitely a possibility. So we don't know which. It's not, it's unlike the earlier world where we knew that it was only fossil fuel based engines, either a petrol or a diesel engine, that we will survive with. And the choice was either choosing that or choosing this. But tomorrow, the choice will be maybe 10 different fuel varieties in terms of just the fuel. Then comes so many different technology around autonomous driving, supported driving, connected driving, and so many different technologies are sitting inside the cars today, vehicles today, even two-wheelers today. We have new technologies around self-balancing two-wheelers. A lot of people start saying that you can't drive a two-wheeler unless you have a very good balance. That piece might be taken out of the equation itself, because the vehicles itself will be in a position to balance itself. So some of those traditional thoughts and thinking is sometimes very restrictive, and that is one of the nemesis of the businesses. So many classical examples over the history of businesses, Kodak, Nokia, blah blah blah. I'm sure everyone knows about them. And the fundamental piece remains very simple, but we kind of overlook that or gloss over that because we think a very trendy kind of a concept or something is what going to make my business sustainable. But reality is that we sustain when we get our fundamentals right, even in a very disruptive world. The world has always been disruptive, as I said. When steam engines happened, it was disruptive. When cars came, it was disruptive. And every time, when computers came, it was disruptive. But the speed of disruption has changed dramatically over the period of time. And that's exactly that calls for a greater flexibility, a greater ability to learn how to learn new things. And finally, the third piece that I want to talk about today is around businesses building quality and building and investing on quality human resources. I grew up at a time when computers were introduced into banking system, early 80s. And most of the time around me, including my elders in the family, were very clear that this will take away all human jobs in banks, because computerization of banking system will ensure that there are no people who are required in the banking system. But if you take a number in terms of how many people used to work in banks at that point in time and today, is mind blowing in terms of the X that it has grown. And how has it grown? It's because of enabling technologies. So, human mind is the most complex machinery that has been on the face of this earth. And I think we have no business to discount that. There can be artificial intelligence, there could be machine learning, there could be robots, there could be cobots, there could be computer vision, natural language processing. All of it can't happen without the power of the human mind. And therefore, those are the businesses which are likely to survive in the long term, are businesses which focuses on investing and building quality manpower resources for their work. And unless we do that and we allow and create a learning environment in each of these organizations, I think we will struggle in the long term as a business. Complete dependence on machines and machines alone without human interventions is unlikely to survive. It's always going to be a man-machine equation. A man-machine equation in terms of businesses delivering a better solution in the future. And this piece is so very important, especially in the era of disruptions, that it will make a lot of value addition to the entire business when you are able to get the passionate human minds working on solutions to the problems that you face. My experience and the journey over the last 30 years is what I've tried to sum up with these three areas of focus. I personally have been very aligned to them, and I feel that these are qualities and parameters that have actually helped the businesses that I've been associated with, who have made those transitions. And wherever we've not been able to make those transitions, I think those businesses have gone out of the door. And therefore, my firm belief is that this will enable the businesses of future, and it will create tremendous value for the entire civilization by these businesses who are focusing on the core principles of meeting the human needs through some of these principles. Maybe there will always be opportunities to add more, and I can also add more, but I just picked up the top three that I have realized over my experience over the last few years, last few decades. Thank you very much. I'll stop here and I'll be happy to take questions if there are any.
Sir,
Thank
good
you.
afternoon. It was really nice listening to you again from the expert's mind, how the changes can be brought into the organization's fold. Yes, technology and the disruptions that we are talking about, how do we conceptualize it in our mind and communicate it to our people? That is the biggest challenge that people tend to face. And you have rightly said that adaptability or flexibility that is going to be there is not just in the way the business is to be done. It's also about the flexibility and the adaptability that exists in the mind of the CXOs. That is the biggest challenge. And even I was referring to some of the recent reports that have come out from Deloitte and others, they are also saying that there has to be a degree of preparedness. There has to be a degree of sense of foreseeing the future. And if you, since you are a management graduate, you'll also be in a position to appreciate the work that C.K. Prahlad and others have talked about competing for future. So if you have to foresee the world that is going to be there tomorrow, you have to foresee it today itself and prepare your organizations for tomorrow. This is the biggest challenge that organizations are facing today. Thanks to you, sir, for highlighting. Even Ms. Sagarika also spoke about the same thing, the fundamental flexibility in the mindset of the entrepreneurs. That is very, very important to bring it to the fore that yes, we are going to sail through. And the degree of confidence that they are going to exuberate in their behavior, in their mindset to the people, that will definitely is going to help a lot in maybe sustaining the organization over a period of time. Sir, one more thing that I could understand from your thought, yes, management education is again always in a turmoil, because one phase goes off, the other phase comes in, and we tend to go on fixing and fitting the emerging perspectives into our curricula. And based on your experience, definitely you have also highlighted how important it is to groom the minds, to be prepared for the future. Somewhere that is very, very important for us as teachers, I would say, because we are majorly teachers in the class, and as the students evolve, they come for interaction, then we become the facilitators in the thought process. So this is the challenge that we are experiencing as management educators, how to transform the thought process. You rightly said that whatever concepts that they learn today may not be applicable tomorrow, but there has to be a seed bed to be laid, a nursery to be laid in their mind that yes, these are the possible ways you have to think about what could be the possible challenges that are going to come in the future. So it was really nice talking to you, and hopefully we could have one more physical sessions with our students so that they can learn more about the nuances of how to become more flexible and adaptable in today's time.
Thank you. My pleasure. I'll be very happy to do that at some convenient time.
Yes, sir.
So I would like to add, because you were on the topic of how your professors in the classroom and kind of teaching the even grooming the minds. I would love to make a point here, because sometimes I do confess that if I wasn't doing textiles, perhaps I would have been a teacher. And I see these young NIFTians, and NIFT, of course, being one of the leading design institute of India, and many other collaborative institutes where there are young minds and young aspiring stylists that I meet in my profession. I would definitely like to second you there that the importance of transition and transformation has to be, of course, talked through, because in any human lifetime, there will always be a certain set of challenges, a certain set of revolutions that we face, and a certain transformations that we have to make in our own way of conduct. And if amidst all this, if we keep the importance and the essence of timeline very strong on our mind, I think that is a battle won. And that is something which we faced through the, of course, we face it every year. And that's like a discipline we inculcate even in our team force. But during the pandemic, it was even more essential. And a key mantra was the timeline and the essence of time, along with just transformations and absorptions and embracing the new norms. Because the especially when the world is going digital, the patience and the absorption level from the customer point of view is very short. And hence, to be disciplined about your deliveries and timelines, whether you're delivering a concept or you're delivering a, hypothetically, any new strategy, if it is considered that in the mind that the person receiving it has a very short absorption value, then your half the battle is won. And I think those are very interesting things to groom our students who will make the future.
Thank you. I think very, very valid points.
Sir, I'd also like to, thank you for your time today, sir. I mean, two lessons really stand out for me. One is that you emphasized on, being adaptable and flexible. And the second thing that you really spoke about in your example-filled session was learning to learn. I think that was a really important facet that all of us need to try and build into ourselves. So that we can, build or give our little bit to build resilient and sustainable organizations in this era of disruption. So I think that both those lessons were extremely noteworthy, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for such an enlightful and knowledge-filled session. We are really indebted. Before we move to the formal vote of thanks, I would like to brief you about the conference. We are going to begin with paper presentation in parallel tracks post-lunch from 2 p.m. both today and tomorrow. There are 5 tracks, and for each track, there is a Best Paper Award. I would like to share a good news with all of you. This international conference is a series conference. And last year's conference, ICAMT 2022, has culminated in the form of an edited volume titled Advances in Management Science, published by Emerald UK in the form of Scopus Indexed Series. The cover page of the series, Scopus Index Series, is on your screen. So that's a big congratulations to the convener and co-convener of last year's conference.
Thank you, Dr. Shivani.
Thank you, sir. It's really motivating, sir. Ingratitude is the biggest sin, and I don't want to do it. At the outset, I would like to extend my gratitude to our founder chancellor, Honorable Shri Jayaprakash Gorji, for creating the JP education system and empowering us to deliver high quality education to build a more prosperous and productive nation. We thank our chancellor, Honorable Manoj Gorji, for taking a constant and keen interest in the betterment of JP education system and encouraging us to play a meaningful role in the group's overall vision of building a better India with importance given to innovation, sustainability, and human values. We are grateful to our leadership, Honorable Pro-Chancellor, Professor S.C. Saxena, sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor B.R. Mehta, sir, for constantly motivating us to be better educators and helping us to create an environment, an ecosystem that harbors the spirit of excellence. On behalf of the entire ICAMT 2023 team, I thank all the dignitaries and the members of our wonderfully closely knit JIIT family for making time to attend this inaugural session of ICAMT 2023. Most importantly, I must thank the distinguished guests of the amazing inaugural session. We witnessed today Mr. Mohit Kumar, Ms. Sangrika Rai, and Mr. Arindam Lahiri, who spoke at our inaugural session today, have certainly left no stone unturned by giving knowledge-filled, thought-provoking, and engaging session on the theme of the conference, Building Resilient Business for Sustainability in the Era of Disruption. The keynote session have not only served the purpose of setting the tone of the international conference on advances in management and technology, but have hopefully also inspired researchers and participants for new research themes for the future. Last, but certainly not the least, I wish to convey my heartfelt gratitude to the conference chair, convener, and co-conveners for diligently burning the midnight oil for months together to conceptualize and execute a wonderful international conference. We wish the entire team of ICAMT 2023 team of faculty, members, students, and all participants the best of luck, and hope that you all will enjoy every bit of this 3-day event and create many memories and associations along the way. Thank you, one and all. Stay safe and stay blessed.
Before we close, can I request everybody to put on their cameras so that we can take a picture? Students can also switch on their cameras, please. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And ma'am, we'd love to have you at the campus someday. So with this,
Thank you. Thank you, Sadvika ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Wonderful
Thank you
session.
for
Thank you so
joining us
much. Thank you so
and
much for
sharing
this
your
honor.
wisdom to us.
Thank you so much.
so with this, we end the inaugural session.